So it being approximately 4 o'clock on Wednesday, January 19th, we'll call this Gardner Elementary School Building Committee to order. Just a reminder, subject to the law passed and signed by the governor on June 16th, 2021, this meeting of the City of Gardner School Building Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to attend the meeting may do so in the following manner by watching on the City of Gardner YouTube page. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite the best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right, so let's call this meeting to order. Dr. Hammond, would you mind calling the attendance?
Mark Hawk,
Present.
Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Dr. Pellegrino,
Present.
Kathy Gogan,
Present.
Jennifer Plavin. Jennifer,
Present. Yeah, present. Sorry.
Robert Schwartz,
Present.
Ron Cormier,
Present.
Christina Thomas. I just saw that.
Present.
Ashley Chickwin told me she couldn't make it. Robert Hankinson.
Present.
Heidi told me she couldn't make it. Josh Cormier.
Present.
Did I miss anybody?
Wayne Anderson.
Is Wayne in?
Wayne just
Yep.
buzzed in. Yep, Wayne
Where is he?
is on mute.
Oh, here he is. Okay, Wayne Anderson.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum and members have been accounted for.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Hammond. Can we, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th, 2021?
So move.
So move. Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion on the motion, let's put the matter to a roll call vote. Dr. Hammond, would you mind calling the roll?
Mark Hawk,
Aye.
Mayor Nicholson,
Aye.
Dr. Pellegrino,
Yes.
Wayne Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Gogan,
Yes.
Joyce West. I didn't see her. Did we? No, I didn't see
No,
her.
Joyce is also out. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had to have an important meeting at 4 today.
Jennifer Plavin,
Yes.
Bob Schwartz,
Yes.
Ron Cormier,
Yes.
Christina Thomas,
Yes.
Robert Hankinson,
Yes.
Josh Cormier.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a vote, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. So motion passes. Approval of bills and orders.
Mr. Chairman, we have 4 bills today, yeah, 4 bills. We have Colliers for $65,677.30. Jones Winston, $111,080.50. Bacon Construction, $2,911,477.57. And we have one from, and I gotta get it out, it is from Allied Testing. And let me just get that one up here. I believe we have one. Give me 1 second. Allied Testing for $175.
Excellent. Do I hear a motion to approve those bills?
So moved. Hankinson.
Thank you, Ms. Hankinson.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ms. Blavin. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, let's put the matter to a roll call vote. Dr. Hammond, would you mind calling the roll?
Mark Hawk,
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson. Mayor Nicholson, still with us?
He may have gotten bumped off.
Okay. Dr. Pellegrino,
Yes.
Wayne Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Gogan,
Yes.
Jennifer Plavin,
Yes.
Bob Schwartz,
Yes.
Ron Cormier,
Yes.
Christina Thomas,
Yes.
Robert Hankinson,
Yes.
Josh Cormier. Is the mayor
Yeah.
back on? Okay.
Mayor's not back on.
it passes, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent, thank you. Can we have a
Excuse me,
report?
did we mention, was Bacon's requisition in that?
Yes,
I may have zoned out. Okay, sorry. All right, thank you.
thank you.
No problem, Matt. All right, very good. Report from the OPM.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. And Matt, if this is your monthly update, if you want to go through, and then I can scroll
Okay,
as needed.
sure. Well, as you know, the site work has been completed now on Pearl Street and up the access road as far as all the utilities. So when they come back in the spring, they're just going to make some connections up at the top at the building. And in some cases, just kind of out in the middle of the field where they have to connect some utilities. But they're done for the season until we can get the approach slab to the loading dock board, and then they'll come back, do some backfilling so that we can get the pad done for the transformer. And now all of that is required for the transformer, and that will allow us to get our permanent power going. So, that's what's happening with site, but that's it. Building A, the biggest thing going on now in Building A is sheet rocking, taping, framing, insulation, pretty much on all floors. They finished the building spray insulation on the exterior walls. The connector roof is complete. They started some gutters on the north side, but they were stopped with the weather, and then they swung over to Building C to start working over there. But that's basically all that's happening there. But that's a lot. I mean, they're sheetrocking on every floor, and I would think that the painters may be coming in next week to start priming. So that's good news. Building B, the main roof, the high roof, I should say, is pretty much complete. And they've got the cafeteria roof complete, but not yet on the kitchen. That'll come next. But staying up on the roof, they did land, I guess it was last week. They landed 3 of the units, one over the kitchen, the mechanical units, one over kind of the stage area, and then one on Building A, up on that level where we had the fire. So those 3 units are going to start getting hooked up shortly. Windows are mostly in and B on the east elevation, nothing on the west or the other ends. Sheathing is now complete. I would say next day or two, they're going to finish the window blocking, and hopefully air vapor barrier wrapping of the blocking will come right behind it. It has been, they've been spotty coming and going. Interior petitions have been framed, but the biggest thing going on in the building is just plumbing and mechanical, fire protection, roughing. Next in will be electrical. They're finishing up in Building C, which is a good segue into Building C. The connector roof is also complete on between Building B and C. Insulation still has to be done on the first floor, but the second floor is complete. They've been in and out painting the acoustical decks, I guess, on their own time or their own schedule, but every once in a while you see that some more has been done, and they're finishing up the electrical roughing on the first floor for the most part. I think the second has been signed off. And scroll down there, Tim. So looking ahead, like I said, possibly the loading dock if the weather permits them to pour a slab. They'll should probably jump back and do the fascia and gutter system on A, continue sheetrocking, taping with the painter coming in. Casework is supposed to start mid-month. Hopefully that still is the case. In Building B, they're going to complete the cafeteria and roof system, probably start on the gym, because that'll be pretty much the last part of it. Air vapor barrier system now has to catch up. Pretty much the whole west side needs to be sprayed. The electrical roughing, as I mentioned, they'll start coming in here, which will then allow them after that to start doing sheetrock, but that's a ways down the road. And they'll start tying in the mechanical units on the roof. And in Building C, they're going to start building curtain wall frames, or I should say start erecting curtain wall frames. They'll start insulating and sheetrocking classrooms and the soffits. And they're hoping to start the exterior masonry. Next week, we have window testing. Hopefully, the results of this one will be as good as the last one was. And they're then going to move in with the mason and start doing masonry on C, go from C to B to A, instead of the original B to C to B, A to C to B. And here we go. This is now building A, looking up at that 3-story high atrium. I almost had to lay on the floor to get that picture, but I wasn't going to go completely down. So that's why you see the top part of the wall on the right-hand photo. That's the upper portion on the 3rd floor. All right, scroll down, please. That's a typical classroom that's been taped, soffit. The whole 1st floor is pretty much like that, and a good portion of the 2nd floor, as well as the other photo where the ceiling, where we have the acoustical ceiling system that's been sprayed already. And the walls, the exterior walls, you can see the green, that is that spray insulation that's been applied. So that's all complete in A. And it, excuse me, this is the curtain wall, the only curtain wall that's been installed so far in building A, north side, right outside the stair 1 exit. And they'll be starting doing it again on building C. The right side, that's as of yesterday, I believe, or a couple days ago. Yeah, yesterday. The sheathing is done. It's pretty much now window blocking that they'll finish up, and then the vapor barrier. And hopefully they'll start windows on that side soon. Here's 2 of the 3 units that were placed. The left one is the one over the kitchen. The one on the right is for the cafeteria area. There is one more in the middle that you don't have a photo of, but so they've been set. Roofing on the right-hand photo, that's the roofing system less the membrane. You can see the membrane at the bottom of that photo, that light, that tan color, but when I took the photo, they hadn't put the membrane up yet on the other section. And something else. Oh yeah, that's where they've started now doing the remedial work for the calm rooms or calm down rooms, whatever they're called. We had to eliminate 2 doorways that were involved so that we could create the one larger calm room. So they'll have to fill this block in. And this was just something I hadn't shown anybody before. We do have brick on site with different colors and just waiting to be put up. I think that's it. Thank you.
Any questions about what's been taking place and what's scheduled for the near future?
Nope.
All right, then I will jump into some finances. Again, this is the slide we've been showing you before with our total project budget in column A, our recent invoices that have come in against what's been encumbered to date. But really it's the columns F and G, which are what we're anticipating for eligible costs, and then based on the city's percentage, what those would be. So of the $89.5 million budget, we have approved invoices prior to this evening of roughly 36.7 million. Of that, we're estimating that about 23.5 million would be eligible for reimbursement. And then based on the city's reimbursement rate, there would be a reimbursement of 18.7. So doing well financially. We're getting our reimbursements in from the MSBA, and we're submitting our requests on a regular basis now. As far as our contingency, we're doing pretty good. We're about 50% of the way billed for construction from Bacon, and we're about 2% value of contingency has been spent. About 2% of the total construction cost has been spent in contingency. So we spent about $1.3 million. So we're doing well. There's obviously a long way to go. We have a number of things that we're talking about. And so I'm sure we'll have some additional things to come bring before you, and we'll want to be watching that closely as we go through the next 50% of the project. But coming up out of the ground, getting the structural steel up, that's usually a big challenge. We should be in kind of a lull with the finishes, and then as we get towards the end, the costs start to ramp up as we're starting to get near the finish. So we do have some items that we want to talk about tonight as far as getting approval, and let you know of some that we had approval from the subcommittee, but now we have some final numbers. We had kind of a contingent approval, and now we have some more accurate numbers. And Christian, I don't know if you issued a summary of these items, or I can just kind of walk through from your email earlier today.
Could I stop for a second, Tim? We have change order number 12 that needs to be approved, and then you had additionals to go on from today's meeting, I believe. You need to do change order 12 first, and then you would take it from there, Christian, which you spoke to me earlier about. So we do have, if we could proceed, Mr. Chairman, change order 12 is for 99,701.46. And that change order to be the total contract would be 63,262,144.49. We would need to have a motion for that to approve those who have been all approved by the subcommittee. I don't know if you want to go through each one of those with them, but it's up to you, Mr. Chairman and Christian.
I'm happy to. I just, on a whole, I'll just say that the finance subcommittee had some additional approvals with a not to exceed. So this is a little bit less than what was anticipated. And that's because some of those negotiations are still ongoing. So we just didn't include some of those. But I'm happy to go into any of these in detail. Or
could I suggest that you bring it up on the screen? You might as well go through it. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Okay, let me get my cheat sheet so I can remind myself where we were here. 105. Okay, so added electric equipment. These were just disconnect switches and fuses for the ERUs up on the roof to meet the short circuit ratings. 169 was approved a long time ago as a not to exceed value of $35,000. Colliers helped track that on a time and materials basis, and that came in at $8,285. 172 was just some electrical floor boxes in the media center that once we really got the furniture plan and discussed with the district, they were no longer needed, so we got a small credit there. 173 was also a not to exceed value of $50,000 for rough original estimates. Once they actually tracked all their time and materials, it came in just a bit higher than that at $55,198. 174 was at the C-wing entry, changes to both the support for the brick veneer and also for how the air vapor barrier wraps around that entry there at the C-wing, for $9,231. 181 was a request from the fire department to have the stores caps actually have a Knox lock on them for $1,332. 182 was for a unique condition where we had CMU walls, but we had storefront doors in them, and so the corners of the CMU were a bit more exposed than we had hoped. So there was a solution that the mason recommended for just grinding the corners to make them nice and smooth, which we thought was a great idea. So that was $2,218. 184 was for a code required AV strobes to those comm room halls that were added. This was a bit apart from the other changes that had been drawn. we realized that we needed those code required strobes. So that was 1,884. 185B was for insulation at the parapet. And this is where it gets into a very kind of complicated thermal bridging situation where the framing from the wall keeps going up above the roof. And so we want to wrap that whole thing in insulation and then put the membrane on the back half of it and the exterior sheathing on the front. So that was 8,646. Exposed radiant pipes. This was just the radiant panels don't make blank covers longer than 4 feet. And so we had to, an easier solution than to getting custom panels was to just reorganize some of the radiant pipes. So that came in at 1,788. Bathroom accessories was adding stainless steel, toilet paper holders and things of that nature to the contractor scope, which should last a lot longer than something you'd get from your suppliers. 195 was another request from the fire department to just have a slightly larger Knox box by the front door because there are several fob keys and things of that nature that need to fit in there. So that was 1,640. And then the winter conditions for the loading dock drive is because National Grid is requiring us to pour that loading dock drive so that they can access where the transformer is going to go. Typically, we would not pour that concrete in these types of conditions, but because they're requiring us to, we need some ground heating and things of that nature. So that came into 13,937.
Okay. Does that cover all of, that doesn't cover all the change order though, correct?
That's for change order 12. And then we have 3 items that we'd like to bring in front of you tonight that we were not able to get out ahead of time, but learned this morning that Bacon would like them approved quite quickly or reviewed quickly at least. And so
let's take a quick vote on this separately. That way
Great.
this piece is done and then we can discuss that other piece. So Dr. Hammond, would you mind calling a roll? Actually, do I hear a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's put the matter to a roll call vote. Dr. Hammond?
Mark Hawk,
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson back,
Yes.
yes. Mark, Dr. Pellegrino,
Yes.
Wayne Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Gogan,
Yes.
Jennifer Plavin,
Yes.
Bob Schwartz,
Yes.
Ron Cormier,
Yes.
Christina Thomas,
Yes.
Robert Hankinson,
Yes.
Josh Cormier. Did I miss anybody? All set? Okay, we have a vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Christian, would you mind going on to the, or is it Christian that's going over this?
Sure, I can share a screen here. And I think that Eric Bernardin from Fuss and O'Neill might be joining us. Mark or Brenda, if you see him pop up. Hopefully he should be here soon, but he had another meeting and was going to try and jump onto this one. But he was basically going to join us to answer any questions on 192 in particular. Let me blow this up a little bit. So I'm going in reverse order. That's how Bacon presents them. So that's how I placed it here. So 211 is to add some unistrut in the kitchen, which is just a structural channel. We have an operable storage platform in the kitchen and it doesn't line up exactly with where the beams are. So to add the unistrut to help support that storage platform is 2,249. If approved, these would all be wrapped into change order number 13, which we would then formally approve at our next meeting, but this would just give Bacon the approval to start moving ahead on these. 204 is a change that we had to the pre-K and the kindergarten classrooms. We have Chromebook charging carts in grades 1 through 4, and those happen in the classroom. We have a specifically designed cabinet for them that's a little bit deeper, and we have dedicated electrical circuits for charging those charging carts. We did not include that in the pre-K and kindergarten. The initial direction was that we would have a shared carts for those age groups. But when we reviewed it with the latest IT folks and we're reviewing it with our technology budget, it was decided that it would be much better if we could have small charging stations within these pre-K and kindergarten classrooms also. So it gets a little bit tricky in that potentially you could include these charging stations in these classrooms and it might work out just fine, but you also might trip the breaker if you have a lot of other power requirements all going at the same time. So our electrical engineer thought the safest thing to do was to introduce 32 dedicated home runs. So there's these 16 classrooms. Each classroom gets 2 outlets, one for each of these smaller charging stations. So the total is 45,242 to do this work. And I'm sorry for the last minute nature, but they do want approval if we are going this direction soon so that they can start the electrical work before they get too far on the sheetrock in that area. Are there any questions on that one in particular?
Christian, can I add to that, or Mark,
Yep.
may I add to that? As a
Sure, absolutely.
kindergarten teacher, when we were deciding way back at the beginning of this process, we did not have dedicated iPads or Chromebooks in our kindergarten and preschool classrooms. Since that time and the changing with technology, we have brought the Chromebooks into the classroom. They're charging there. Sometimes we may be alone when we're pulling those out for group work or an actual whole group assessment piece. The benefits in that are greatly appreciated for kindergarten teachers and preschool teachers.
Thank you for pointing that out, Tina. I really appreciate that because I think that's an important perspective. The fact that, you know, this pandemic made it so now we realize, well, and so it's a good thing it happened because it was going to eventually happen. So we were planning for what we had 2 years ago. And if you're going to be planning for the future, we need to make sure that we're ready for that. I don't want things in a brand new building. I don't want electrical circuits tripping because we're charging,
Yes.
you know, our electronics. That would be ridiculous. So thank you for pointing that out.
Great.
Any other questions on that one? All right.
Great. 192 is a change to the exterior concrete sealer. This is for all of the concrete flat work throughout the site, the sidewalks in particular. And so originally they gave us a price of just over $28,000. They have since revised that to $41,666. And I included some of their language down here explaining why that cost went up. And basically it's a remobilization cost. This is a sealer that would be applied after the concrete starts to set for about 30 days. And so would need to be cleaned before it's applied again. And so therefore, and it's a more expensive product than what was included in the specifications. So the change order is coming to $41,666.
And if I may add to that, it's a
course.
product that will last maybe, they say, 3, 4, 5 years. And then in order to maintain that same level of protection or whatever it is, you'd have to recoat it. So this is, you know, to put it on once and never do it again, you'd have to stop and think whether it was worth it to do the first time. You know, I don't know what the budget would look like in the future, but it's a lot of money if you have to do it again. But I just wanted to let you know that it's not a forever type product.
And I think, Matt, the other thing to point out here is that we do own a sealer in the base bid. This is just an enhanced product. So it's not that you're not getting any kind of sealing on your concrete to begin with. You are, This is just the added cost to go with a higher level, if you will.
For $40,000 every 5 years, we'd be able to replace some significant sections of sidewalk if they had failed. I really don't, this is just outrageous at this point. Again, we ran into a similar situation at the police station. I think we put the sealer down at the beginning. I doubt if it's been reapplied since. There are still no cracks or anything down there. And just to reiterate, we did go to a higher PSI. I think someone had said on this concrete earlier. So I really don't see the need for this unless someone has a yearning for it.
I'll be honest and say I had the same concerns that Mr. Hawk had on this, and I was actually going to use the example that we had at the police station where we haven't had to have any issues with this too. So that's one of the I have some questions about this one. I can understand where the arguments can come from, but that is something that I was thinking about too when I was looking at this. Thanks.
Also, while this whole thing started after we received a letter from Marguerite, the concrete contractor, regarding not using salt products on, new concrete, that's what started this whole discussion. One thing that this new product would not do is allow you to put salt on, so it's not going to help you in that regard. You still have the same restrictions. So I just didn't want anyone to think that, oh, now we can salt it because we put this sealer on. That's not the case.
Any other questions on that particular portion? Is that the last one, Christian? And by the way, Eric just joined us. Now that you're done.
Exactly.
So moved. Thank you.
Yes, that's the last one.
Okay. Mark, do you want to put that in the form of a motion of taking that out?
What I
Yeah.
could suggest is, Mr. Chairman, just approve the other two, not that one. There was two of them, right? So just approve two and not approve the third. Don't put that in the motion.
Right. We'd want to. Yes, we want to change it to that. Yes.
Yep.
I want to hear from Eric before we want to let Eric put his 2 cents in.
Sure.
I don't know what the committee talked about, but I would not suggest you do it at this price, and that if in the future you want to revisit the issue and bring in a vendor to do it, you will do it for less.
I like Eric, and I'll move that we go ahead with 211 and 204 and not 192.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cormier and Mr. Hawk. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes, may I have a clarification? Is the 28,878 still contract value and will be applied?
This is contract value. No, that was the original ad to go to this new product. And then they looked at it again, Bob, and shockingly, we thought the price might go down, but the price went up. So the original contract, they'll still have the sealer that was carried in the original specs. We are also going with the 5,000 PSI concrete, as Mark Hawk mentioned. But this would just be electing not to go with this quote unquote enhanced sealer.
Thanks, Christian. That was a clarification I was looking for, that we was still getting what was called out for in the contract.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Any further discussion on the motion? Other questions? All right. Hearing no further discussion, the motion is to approve items 211 and 204 for the change order and not 192. Dr. Hammond, would you mind calling the roll?
Mark Hawk,
Yes.
Mayor Nicholson,
Yes.
Dr. Pellegrino,
Yes.
Wayne Anderson,
Yes.
Dr. Gogan,
Yes.
Jennifer Plavin,
Yes.
Bob Schwartz,
Yes.
Ron Cormier,
Yes.
Christina Thomas,
Yes.
Robert Hankinson,
Yes.
Josh Cormier.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody? It's a vote, Mr. Chairman.
Motion passes. Thank you very much, Dr. Hammond. All right, anything else from, report from the OPM? Any updates or anything else?
Nope, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Christian, would you like to give us a report from the architects?
I don't think I have much to add. I mean, I see on here on the agenda, window testing. Matt mentioned that. We had some window testing previously on the last week on the C wing. That went better than the testing on the A wing, and they were using a different product there. So we're hopeful that the C wing will be passing the next round of window testing, which is scheduled for the 26th and 27th. And then from there, they'll kind of work back to the B wing, and then we'll go back and we'll address the A wing again. The benefit of moving forward with the C wing is that then they can get the masons out there and start working on that exterior face of that building, and then kind of work their way back again to the A wing. So that's an update on that. But otherwise, things are going well. We had a commissioning agent meeting today, and that was very helpful. So onwards.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. All right, any old business, new business,
Mr.
or other
Chairman,
business to come before the school building committee? Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Hammond.
to be note in the minutes that David Fredette has resigned, therefore, from the school district, and he's therefore not on the building committee. And we'll be filing a new building committee form with MSBA. And second is that the subcommittee will meet on the February 2nd at 3 p.m. You'll get notice for that instead of 4, so it'll be changed to a 3 p.m. Those are the
Great,
only
thank-
things that I have, Mr. Chairman.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Rockwood, do you have any public comment? Oh, well, yes, Mr. Cormier, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just real quickly, because I don't usually add too much to this committee, I thought I'd just let everybody know that we did receive and open the furniture, fixtures, and equipment project this afternoon. We received 5 bids. They've been forwarded on and they're being reviewed now, but I just wanted to make everybody aware that we did open that up today. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Excellent, thanks, Mr. Cormier.
Thank you for that update, and a big thanks to Josh for helping with that process, because it is difficult. There's a lot of different vendors all involved in that process.
The results for that, I assume, Christian, you're going to form, you have a consultants will work with Josh analyzing the bids. That'll go to
Exactly.
the subcommittee and then it'll come to the full committee, I assume.
Yeah, Steph Four is working on that now, and we'll see how that checks out with the budget that we have going so far, and we'll, adjust from there as needed.
Excellent. Any other old, new, or other business to come before the school building committee? Public comment, Mr. Rockwood, any comments?
Thank you for the opportunity, but I have nothing today.
Very good. Our next meeting is February 16th, 2022. We have no need for executive session. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. There were a lot of seconds there, so it sounds like everybody wants to get going. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, okay.
Right.